Welcome to this week's Terrace Bay Council meeting. CAO John Hall outlined some rules regarding election signage designed to cut down on community clutter and improve safety. Council discussed the newly approved hourly rental fees and birthday packages for the outdoor courts. And finally, a report on the upcoming 2026 infrastructure condition assessments highlights the lower Aguasaban Falls Bridge, various lookouts, retaining walls, and trails to help guide future maintenance, safety improvements, and funding applications. Now, here's the agenda.
Good evening, everyone. Having Seattle Road, 6:30 on Monday, June 15th. I call this meeting of the Council of Terrace Bay to order. Declaration, Council of the Township of Terrace Bay hereby acknowledges that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Nishnabek and Métis. Item 3, additions, deletions, or amendments. Bill, you have an addition?
Yes, just one, just a verbal, it's just a recognition report, just to present to council, that's it.
We have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Duno. Resolved that council approve the agenda for the regular council meeting held June 15th, 2026, with one addition from Councillor Webb, a recognition report. All in favor? Carried. Are there any disclosures of interest? Hearing none. Adoption of minutes. We have a motion moved by Councillor Duno, seconded by Councillor St. Louis. Resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting held May 19th, 2026 be approved as presented. Any questions on that motion? All in favor? Darren? Report for administration, John, election signage bylaw.
Thank you, Your Worship. So election sign play an important role as communication tools in the democratic process. To administration's knowledge, Terrace Bay has never had a formal policy or bylaw governing the use of election signs. Since 2022, municipal and school board election, there's been increased dialogue and sensitivity to how election sign bylaws can support a resident's right to freedom of expression. However, unregulated sign placement can also bring undesirable situations such as unauthorized placement on private property, unauthorized placement on public property, creation of an eyesore, littering, theft, and vandalism, etc. A bylaw regulating the size, placement, and timelines for an election sign is considered a best practice. Administration has drafted a basic bylaw that addresses common situations around election signage, including but not limited to size, placement, timelines, enforcement, and penalties. This bylaw applies to election signage related to municipal, provincial, and federal elections, including by-elections. So for general rules, election signs are not allowed unless they comply with the bylaw. No person may place signs on municipal property without permission. Signs must not be attached to trees, utility poles, be attached to traffic signs or other traffic devices, be illuminated, flashing, or rotating, look like traffic control devices. Mobile signs, trailer mounted, are not permitted. Signs must not block doors, fire exits, or visibility, and the township logo cannot be used on any signs. With respect to private property, signs can only be placed with owner-occupant consent. Public property and road allowances, signs are prohibited in parks and on all municipal facilities and premises. Signs are allowed on municipal road allowances and highways if they meet all the conditions. And the size is less than a meter, or I think it's 1 foot by 1 foot by 3 meters to the max. No higher than 2.5 meters. Not on local roads within 8 meters of intersections, so within the site triangles. Not on medians, bridges, sidewalks, etc. Must not obstruct traffic or visibility. Signs cannot be attached to utility poles, light standards, benches, garbage bins, mailboxes. With respect to timing, it was actually good that I attended the MCTO because they talked about a court case. So when I first wrote this, the bylaw was only good for 90 days before election day. And that was actually struck down by one of the courts. So I have it now from May 1st during a regular election year to 10 working days after the election. So I think whatever municipality had done it and gone to court, it was limited to 30 days. And somebody brought a motion forward to the court and said, this infringes on my right to freedom of expression. And the court actually said the bylaw was valid. So I changed our bylaw based on that. No signs permitted on polling station property, on vehicles parked at polling stations. So this is our current practice under the clerk's procedures. This is already in there, but now it's actually in a bylaw. So township can remove non-compliant signs. Remove signs are held for 30 days and disposed of if not claimed. Candidates are responsible for removing their own signs at the end of the election. Candidates who wish to use signs must pay a $120 deposit when filing if they intend to utilize signs. So anybody who's already filed would come back in and say, I want to put signs out, come see the clerk's office and we'll take a $120 deposit. With respect to penalties, violations are offenses with fines in the Provincial Offences Act. $30 per sign may be deducted if the township removes non-compliant signs or other violations. Each day a violation continues equals a separate offense. So financial implications none at this time. The options are that council approve the election signage bylaw as presented, that the bylaw be brought forward for passage. Option 2 is that council approve the election signage bylaw as amended, if we discuss tonight, and directs administration to bring the bylaw forward with amendments as discussed. Option 3 is not to approve the election signage bylaw and directs administration to revise based on the discussion. Option 4 is that council not approve the signage bylaw and directs administration otherwise. Administration is recommending option 1.
Questions?
It's your good work on John.
Yep. Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor Duno, second by Councillor St. Louis, resolved that council approve the elections signage bylaw as presented and that the bylaw be brought forward for passing. All in favor? Harry? Amend fees and change this bylaw.
Okay, so I'm going to read the outdoor court one first, and then the other bylaw summary or the report summarizes both. So, similar to community park or playground, Terrace Bay's outdoor courts are considered to be on a first come first served basis. System works well on most days due to the size of the space, its layout, and demand for use. However, an individual has requested a private rental of the courts in order to plan a special event. Although the requester could squat at the courts and claim use for themselves and friends, municipally approved booking would eliminate potential conflict with drop-in users. So for comparative purposes, administration did contact recreation staff and other municipalities to determine the pricing models. Many small communities do not have municipally owned outdoor courts. Rather, basketball and tennis infrastructure is often owned by school boards. Among municipalities who have outdoor courts, most have single sport or tennis pickleball hybrid courts. There is a large variance in outdoor court structures, fees, and scheduling among these municipalities. Some communities offer drop-in only as they compete for use with private spaces. Others have their courts managed by community groups, and some are exclusively for private rental. So you can see the list there that community development staff contacted. You can see Terrace Bay rates for the community center by comparison. So Terrace Bay does not charge for multi-purpose room usage by community organizations and not for profit groups. Just keep that in mind. So administration is bringing forward 3 recommendations for private bookings of the outdoor courts, implementing a fee for booking the entire space and not implementing a per court rental fee. The rationale there is the Terrace Bay courts do not have purpose-built dividers to prevent interruption from other courts. So ball rolling from the basketball court rolling into the pickleball courts. Per court rental fees would be more difficult to manage based on the distance of the courts from on-duty staff. Setting the outdoor court rental fee at $42 per hour and $230 per day. This would align with the cost of community center multi-purpose room, not permitting free private rentals for community organizations and not-for-profit groups. Setting a birthday party rental fee at $125 per hour. Again, rationale there, this would be similar service to the bowling alley, pool, and arena. Renters would have 1 hour private use of the courts and 1 private use of the community center multi-purpose room. So financial implications, less directed otherwise, revenue generated from outdoor court private bookings will be allocated to the annual surplus deficit. Obviously, this is a new charge. It wasn't, so we didn't include any revenue in the budget. So option 1, the council set the rate for booking the outdoor courts at $42 per hour, $238 per day, and implements a birthday party rental rate of $125. Option 2, the council does not set those rates and directs administration otherwise. Administration is recommending option 1.
Questions? No. So John, $125 rental rate for a birthday party, And that includes a room down here, so 125 for actually 2 hours in. Okay, no other questions? We have a motion moved by Councillor Duno, seconded by Councillor St. Louis. Resolved that council set the rates for book in the outdoor courts at $42 per hour, $238 per day, and implements a birthday party rental rate of $125. All in favor? Carried. Annual fees and charges bylaw.
So council passes 2026 fees and charges bylaw at the December 15th, 2025 meeting. Highlights are below. I'm not going to go through them. Typically, we do increase our fees and charges every year by some kind of a percentage, but some fees and individual charges are not increased based on either previous increases or just we don't feel it's either gets too expensive or the charge is just right. So from time to time, it's necessary to amend the bylaw outside of the annual passage, typically in response to new programs and services, desired changes by council or administration, and or correction of errors and omissions. So highlights of the recommended changes by administration are below. So with respect to refreshment vehicles, right now we have a per event fee of $110. The proposed amendment is going to create the fees. So we keep the 110 fee for an electrical hookup down at the beach. This is for the beach, sorry, for food trucks. The refreshment vehicle fee for non-electrical, so per event, so they're down at the beach during an event, but they're not hooked up to the electrical, is $75. Refreshment vehicle fee, electrical non-event, so on a day-to-day basis, Monday to Friday, not during an event, $55, and refreshment vehicle fee, non-electrical, non-event per day, $35. So then the outdoor courts we've already discussed, but I have them below because I'm the one amending the bylaw. Since these fees and charges are new, any projected revenues have not been included in the 2026 budget. Fees and charges are typically reviewed for the following year's budget in December of the preceding year. So December 26 for 2027 fees and charges, etc. Township will therefore only derive revenue from these newly created fees for approximately 6.5 months. So the options are that council approve the creation of new fees and charges for the remainder of the 2026 related to the food reports on food truck fees at the Terrace Bay Beach and outdoor court rentals, and that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward. That council approve the creation of new fees and charges for the remainder of the 2026 related to food truck fees at Terrace Bay Beach, and that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward. So I'm not doing the courts. The next option is doing the courts, but not doing the food truck fees. And the last one is that we don't approve anything and council directs administration otherwise. So administration is recommending option one, that council approve the creation of new fees and charges for the remainder of 2026 related to the reports on refreshment vehicle fees, Terrace Bay Beach and outdoor court rentals. The appropriate bylaw, amending bylaw be brought forward.
Any questions? Gary?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think this is really good, especially since we've had food vendors down at the beach coming out now. I think one thing I'm in favor of just passing this tonight, but didn't want to consider future wise. And I don't know if we can get away with it, but even having a different fee for an out of town or out of region food vendor. Just in the effort to promote local business first and local residents to have that opportunity, but otherwise, I don't know if we can get away with that or not, but something for us to consider down the road. Maybe when we pass next year's fees, but other than that, I appreciate it.
You know, just to respond to Councillor Dinos, so that is the intent. There should be a more of a robust regulatory regime behind this. So right now we're allowing that at the beach. They are technically allowed in other areas of the community under the zoning bylaw. What complicates factors is we have no regulatory regime behind it, so we want to bring that in place. So consider this a bit of a pilot.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can bring that in before the end of the summer and then renew the fees and charges bylaw in 2026 or 2027 in December. But that would be the intent of administration, is to try and bring that forward. Transient trader might be part of that bylaw as well too, as well as home-based business licensing. So.
Yeah. No other questions? No. Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Duno, resolved that council approve the creation of new fees and charges for the remainder of 2026 related to the reports on refreshment vehicle fees at Terrace Bay Beach and outdoor court rentals, and that the appropriate amending bylaw be brought forward. All in favor? Carried. Summer meeting schedule.
Thank you, Your Worship. So from time to time, council has deviated from the procedural bylaw, which is bylaw 29/2021. during the summer months. This is typically in response to recognition of council administration being unavailable due to vacation schedules and attendance at the AMO conference and other conferences. So applicable sections of the bylaw are as follows. So 3.1, the suspension of the rules. 3.2, the calculation of 2/3 vote. 4.2, regular schedule, which sets the meeting time and place the first and third Mondays of each month, commencing at 6:30 p.m. So with respect to current discussion, administration is proposing council amend the 2026 meeting schedule via resolution requiring 2/3 vote as follows. So one meeting per month for July and August respectively. So July 13th. Check that. The date I want. Correct, July 13th and August 10th respectively, and the meeting start times be amended to 3:30 p.m. All of the other provisions of bylaw 29-2021 will remain in effect. Any special meetings and emergency meetings will still be called as required or as previously scheduled as per bylaw 29-2021. So there are no financial implications expected at this time. Council suspend the rules. So the options are that council suspend the rules and regulations established by bylaw 29-2021, the procedural bylaw on a temporary basis, and that the two regular meetings be scheduled for July 13th and August 10th, 2026. The meeting start time for both meetings be changed at 3:30 p.m. And then all other provisions of bylaw 29-2021 remain in effect, and this temporary suspension ends by September 1st. Option 2 is that council suspend the rules and regulations established by bylaw 29-2021, the procedure bylaw on a temporary basis. The two regular meetings be scheduled for July 13th, 2026 and August 10th, 2026 respectively. And then all other provisions of bylaw 29-2021 remain in effect, and the temporary suspension ends by September 1st. So that one there is just keeping the same meeting time. The council suspend the rules and regulations, so this is option 3, on a temporary basis, and the meeting start time for all summer meetings, July and August, be changed to 3:30 p.m. And all other provisions of bylaw 29-2021 remain in effect, and the temporary suspension ends by September 1st. And the last one is that council not approve the suspension of the rules and regulations established by bylaw 29-2021 on a temporary basis and directs administration otherwise. So that option 3 would be council would just hold their 4 meetings in the summer, 2 in July and 2 in August. They would just start at 3:30. That was option 3, but administration is recommending option 1.
Questions, anyone? No. We have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, seconded by Councillor Duno, resolved that council suspend the rules and regulations established by bylaw 29-2021, procedural bylaw on a temporary basis, and that 2 regular meetings be scheduled for July 13th, 2026 and August 10th, 2026, and that the meeting start time for both meetings be changed to 3:30 p.m. and that all other provisions of bylaw 29-2021 remain in effect, and that this temporary suspension ends by September 1st, 2026. All in favor? Carried. Next one going is the appointment of the bear trapper for 2026.
Just a resolution approving the bear trappers for the 2026 bear trapping season. Sorry, Bishop.
Yeah. We have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Duno, resolved that council approve the employment contracts of Bernie LeBlanc, Paul Dennis, and Taylor Paulson as certified bear trappers from May 1st, 2026 to November 1st, 2026 for the township of Terrace Bay. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Delegations, John?
So as of today, the 2 delegations we applied for, we were approved for the Minister of Culture, Recreation and Sport. Have not heard from the other Ministry of Forestry yet.
Next one is me. OPT annual report. I emailed everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone's probably glanced through it, so I'm not gonna go through the whole thing here. And I'm not sure if everyone knows Sergeant Jason Gold started in December of 2025. And yeah, he seems to be quite active in the area. And when I met with the board, myself, Bill, and Mayor Mullins, we gave him 3 things we wanted him to, I guess, enforce. Drugs in the area, speeding, and what was the other one, Bill? Like that? What was the other one? 3 things. Like, yeah,
You had drugs, you had speeding, you had, public, awareness.
okay. Okay, just a brief thing, like I said, I'm not gonna go through everything. In 2025, they achieved 99% compliance rate in the facilitation of victim assistance opportunities. They committed staffing a dedicated local position in the community street crime unit to proactively address property crime and drug activity in the Nipigon detachment area. And, I mean, I've seen a increase in arrests and stuff like that, so that seems to be, working out quite well. Reduction in impaired operation of vehicles, watercraft, motorized snow vehicles, as well as all terrain vehicles. Nipigon OPP conducted 762 reduced impaired driving checkpoints in 2025. Impaired driving charges decreased by 21.4% relative to 2023 and 2024. Regularly conducted ride programs and the use of mandatory alcohol screening will continue to enhance the detection of impaired driving among motorists and operators of snowmobiles, ATV, and watercrafts. In the past year, over 1,000 provincial offense notices were issued addressing the leading causes of collisions, which was speed or aggressive driving, impairment, distracted driving, and failure to use an occupant restraint, otherwise known as a seatbelt. Focused speed enforcement efforts resulted in a 1.68% increase in speeding charges. To support this commitment, the Nipigon detachment partnered with neighboring detachments and the traffic incident management and enforcement team to share resources and conduct focused initiatives within the Nipigon detachment's jurisdiction. Other community updates: Nipigon detachment conducted 612 community service events in 2025, including foot patrols and local elementary and high schools. These engagements with youth supported relationship building, increased accessibility to police officers, and the sharing of information to promote community safety. Recognizing the increasing need for mental health related supports, the Nipigon detachment utilized a crisis call diversion line to reduce calls for service and provide individuals experiencing a mental health crisis with timely access to mental health assistance by telephone. Just to add to that, and this is one of the other things I'm going to talk about. Last week, I was up in Thunder with the chairs of the police service boards from the Manitoba border to Manitoba. Anyways, we were given the opportunity to go to the not the call center, the slipped my mind, where the OPP dispatch calls. Anyways, it was quite an impressive setup they have there. But when I was there, they give you a headset and you could listen to the calls coming in and listen to the girl dispatching officers or whatever. But anyways, this one person called in and said, I want to speak to a mental health worker. And the girl, they have a mental health worker right in that center there too. So she just passed her over to the person behind her there. So yeah, it was quite impressive there. The Nipigon detachment partner with community-based organizations, including Galico and Victim Services of Thunder Bay, to better support victims by connecting them with local and culturally relevant resources. I don't know. Basically, that was about it. I don't have a chance to read through this, but and Bill, you can chirp in there. I think Sergeant Gold, since he's taken over, we've seen quite an increase in traffic enforcement, for example.
For example, I'm just gonna bring that up, Paul, as early as today, Nipigon and Scarborough, Ontario Police OPP participated in a joint commercial motor vehicle traffic campaign, which resulted in 76 charges between June the 9th and 10th of 2026. Members of the Nipigon and Scarborough OPP, in conjunction with the officers from the Ministry of Transportation, conducted a traffic campaign on the highways between Dorian Township and the Township of Terrace Bay. The initiative resulted in 76 charges, 22 level 2 and level 3 inspections with 6 commercial motor vehicles were taken out of service for violations. The following charges were laid. Speeding violations were 23 in those 2 days. Trip inspections violations were 16. Hours of work, 14 infractions. Equipment, 8 infractions, and there's some pictures, but I can't show them to you because this phone is that I'm reading it from is a little bit too small. But the registration were 7, load security were 2, driver qualifications, which I was impressed with, which were there was 2 violations that were found even after all that's been said and done, and there was actually 2 seatbelt violations. The OPP is committed to safety for all who utilize Ontario roadways. Members of the public are urged to report emergency driving situations by calling 911. Complaints of impaired, aggressive, or careless driving may also be made by calling, and there's a 1-888 number, 310-1122. And it was just as early as today, and that's from Jason Gold.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, anyways, and the one other report here, myself and Bill attended it used to be called the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards, now it's called Police Governance Ontario. We attended that conference in Southern Ontario on 3 weeks ago. Some of the comments, I guess. Yeah, head of the OPP, Chris Harkins, gave the opening remarks to in the conference there. I think there was about 300 attendees at that, and there was a lot of OPP there, a lot of detachment commanders, and our detachment commander wasn't there, so I think they rotate yearly. They did bring up new recruits. You're in school for 4 weeks. You go out on in the field for 3 months, then they send you back for another 4 weeks school. Solicitor General gave some remarks, and everyone that's been to AMO or Roma will know this person here. Anyways, he said the OPP have hired 4,000 new officers in the past 4 years. They gave an outline of the board responsibilities. I know our board here, I talked to John McTaggart from Fort Francis, and he's on the PGO board, and he said what we're doing here with this board, we're not like right up to par, but he said we're further ahead than a lot of the boards in the province. One of the big things they talked about was the detachment commander evaluation. We sat in on something like that, and that's one thing we have to do this year because the superintendent of the OPP uses that as a tool, I guess, to evaluate the commander himself. And, we'll give him feedback throughout the year, not wait till, December 31st and say, by the way, back in May, you did this, you shouldn't have did this. But anyways, yeah, they talked a lot about that. There was quite a bit done talk about AI at this conference also. Older population, they talk about that as a different kind of policing. The board that we sit on governs police service. It does not govern police operations. So myself and Bill can't tell Sergeant Gold, yeah, you better go set up a ride program and stuff like that. So anyways, yeah, anyways, we like our detachment plan is also in Nippigan too. So a lot of the detachments in Southern Ontario are right there. So we have a lot of barriers with ours, like geography was one of them. Board weather for another thing, stuff like that. So it is a challenge when your detachment commander isn't in town or in Scribe or anyway. Next one I talked a bit about meeting in Thunder Bay last week. They gave us an overview of the OPP command structure. I didn't write everything down, but anyways, they have a healthy workplace team presentation they gave us. There was 35 recommendations. That committee was formed in 2019. There's 2 Pierce quarters in each detachment. There's a chaplain in each detachment. They also talked about grant funding, and that's where we get the money for a ride program. I think it's what, $7,000 a year, Danny, something like that.
See it?
Yeah. They talked about the OPP billing model, which wasn't, I don't know, kind of wasn't that interesting, but we pay about $320,000 a year for policing here. Service delivery model, it's evidence-based staffing model, considers patrol area, calls for service, response standards, officer availability, support supervision. Why workload and officer wellness concerns, staffing charges, multiple external reviews and audit. Example, the Auditor General. Multi-year staffing strategy implementation. Whoops, sorry about that. Recruitment, they actually have a recruitment officer out there. And, well, actually there's 4 dedicated, and, we're the only area in the province that, has that. And they go out there trying to sell the OPP, I guess. Recruitment funnel, there's 6 stages to, making the last stage of, getting it onto the OPP. The other one was the NORD, it's the North Ontario Rotational Deployment. What that is, if say there's an officer in Scribe who wants to serve in Summerview or something like that. 2 weeks in, 1 week out is for a 1-year deployment. That officer isn't moved out of your detachment until they have a replacement, so you're not left shorthanded. After a year, when he comes back, he still holds his position, and we wouldn't lose that officer. So, and the person I gave that talk was actually the sergeant that was here for 6 months, Jim Davis there. He gave that talk there, and one of the last ones was the YERT team, which was quite interesting also. And the person in charge of that was actually a constable here a number of years ago, probably 15 years ago too. So they talked about how they respond, who they respond to, armed barricade response, communication priority. They also have K9 support. They use 3 types of dogs, a lab, a German Shepherd, and a Belgian. Chris, help me out.
Elk.
No, it's not elk.
I just made up the spell.
There's one other one, and yeah, it was interesting. So, any questions on any of that?
I'd just like a little addition to your
Okay.
report there, your worship. The conference was very informative, and like the mayor has already explained, brought one of the workshop, if anybody wanted to see it, there you are. And the breakout sessions that we attended there were like the transparency and the increased accountability and improving public trust. All reports must be posted on the website, and the website is on the PGO. That's the formerly the OAPSP. And this conference was a huge springboard to kick this PGO, the branding and everything else that's coming down, and just everyday folks that live in our town and anywhere across this great country of ours, they can access this. And there's a lot of information that anybody that can go to and look at the police governance of Ontario. We attended finding your role in the community. And you talked about the Solicitor General Kirchner did open the conference with some kind words as his future focus as to how he sees the staffing increasing on not only the OPP board but also on the municipal side. And we listened to a fellow there from Halton. They have a 10-year plan, if you can believe this or not, and how many millions of dollars they're going to put forward over the next 10 years to make sure that they maintain their staffing in Halton. I mean, it was huge money, and it was all on the backs of the the people that live in that particular area and town. We also did have, and Mr. Mayor, you missed one important speaker that we had, we had our premier.
Oh, 5 minutes.
We had a 5-minute hi, how are you? And then we had people wanting to line up for hugs and kisses. It was a little different, I'll tell you. It was, it really was. But a lot of security with Premier Ford moving around there. It was just unbelievable. And the other demonstration we had was that robot one that was very, very interesting. The one fella said it was, first off, we thought it was just a trick, but this machine, this robot, can actually go into a building that's been caved in, and it only needs so many inches of clearance, and it can sense if there's any human life inside that building, inside that cavity, that the necessary services would have to go and rescue the people. It was just unbelievable. And all over. It was a very good conference, very informative, and like I say, it really was a real learning curve for the PGO governance website to be delivered at that conference. It was very good, and I'll thank the Township of Terrace Bay and Scriber for sending that delegation down there. Thank you very much.
So, any other questions? Okay, we got a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Duno, resolved that council accept the OPPN or report as information. All in favor? Okay. Next one, Marley, is your report.
Are we doing public works first, or
6.2 Public Works.
Okay.
he's thrown up like an old man?
Thank you. So just want to talk about the corrosion control report for a minute here. Each year, the township contracts an engineering firm to complete a report on the effectiveness of our corrosion control plan. Monitoring is done through townwide lead testing twice a year. Administration is sharing a report on the effectiveness of the program. The laboratory data to date shows that corrosion control measures continue to reduce lead levels to below the Ontario drinking water standard of 0.01 milligrams per liter at both residential and non-residential sampling locations since implementation in 2013. There was one lead exceedance in the spring sampling event in 2025. This location was not tested in the fall event due to homeowner availability. This resident sees a higher than normal lead content historically. Financial implications, there's none at this time, and there are no options as this report is being presented for information only.
Questions? Thanks, Ryan. We have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Duno, resolve the council accept the 2025 corrosion control program report from Greenstone Engineering for the Terrace Bay drinking water system as information. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next one, Stacy.
Oh, yeah.
Three.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as per bylaw 18-2021, the procurement policy, disposal of surplus and obsolete goods. So the department heads shall notify the treasurer when goods become obsolete or surplus to the requirements of their departments. Department head shall be responsible for ascertaining if the goods can be of use to other departments in the township. The department head shall prepare a report to council with a recommendation to transfer the goods to another department, advertise the goods for sale to the public via auction or tender, or have the goods classified as waste disposed of accordingly. No council member, employee, or volunteer shall be permitted to receive surplus or scrap or obsolete goods except by purchase at town auction or by public tender. This policy in no way precludes the township from donating surplus goods to a not-for-profit organization. And for the purposes of this section, where 2 or more bids are equal, the bid was received earlier shall be deemed to be the higher. So under current discussion, the municipality is in possession of a Knights of Columbus bench that has been in disrepair for some time. It is unknown when the bench was donated by the Knights of Columbus. However, after connecting with local residents, administration has learned that the local assembly was prominent in Terrace Bay into the late 1960s. Terrace Bay continued to have an active single-member charter until approximately 2015. In 2018, the Terrace Bay Charter was briefly revived, but is not believed to have folded due to inactivity during the COVID-19 pandemic. As evidenced by the attached photos, the concrete supports show considerable spalling. Although restoration of these supports might be possible, municipal staff do not have any expertise required to properly undertake this project. Recognizing that there are regional Knights of Columbus assemblies who may be interested in acquiring and restoring the bench, administration is recommending it be identified as surplus. Any funds generated from the surplus sales will be directed towards the annual surplus deficit. So option A, that council approve the Knights of Columbus bench identify this report as surplus goods and the item be offered for sale to the general public as per bylaw 18-2021. Option B, that council does not approve the surplus of the Knights of Columbus bench and directs administration otherwise. Administration is recommending option A.
Any questions? Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor Duno, second by Councillor St. Louis. Resolved that council approve the Knights of Columbus bench identified in this report as surplus goods and that the item be offered for sale to the general public as per bylaw 18-2021. All in favor? Carried. Safety. Your
worship. So the subject is the condition assessments, the municipal and trail infrastructure. So as part of the 2026 municipal budget, funding was approved to undertake condition assessments of several municipal and trail related infrastructure assets. These assessments are intended to support asset management planning, public safety, accessibility improvements, and future capital investment decisions. The original project scope included the following locations: Lower August Falls Bridge, Tourist Information Center Lookout, August Falls and Gorge Boardwalk and Lookout. The request for quotation for this project requested optional pricing for accessibility reviews, enhanced cost estimates, and consolidated capital planning recommendations. So the current discussion, prior to issuing the RFP, Public Works identified the beach road culvert and retaining wall located behind one Canogany on our Black Path as additional infrastructure assets that would benefit from a condition assessment. While no additional funding was allocated for these locations, they were included in the RFQ to obtain pricing, assess whether they could be accommodated within the available budget, and if not, provide information to support future budget considerations and long-term infrastructure. So a request for quotation was issued for the project, advertised and distributed to qualified engineering firms. The township received a total of 9 submissions. So following the review of the submissions received, R&R Engineering was selected as the preferred proponent. Their submission provided the best overall value for the township, including all 5 project locations, an accessibility review, enhanced cost estimates, and a consolidated capital planning summary. The awarded value for the original project scope is $9,250 plus tax. During the evaluation project, Special Projects Coordinator identified that the bundled pricing and mobilization efficiencies included in the R&R Engineering's proposal created an opportunity to maximize value within the approved project budget. Following discussions with the consultant, pricing was requested for 2 additional assessment items that had previously been discussed during budget deliberations, but were ultimately deferred. And those 2 locations are the Simcoe Plaza column assessment and the Black Path upgrade to multi-use path assessment. The Simcoe Plaza column assessment will provide a professional engineering evaluation of the structural support columns, including condition, deterioration, public safety considerations, maintenance requirements, rehabilitation recommendations, and Class D process. The Black Path upgrade to multi-use path assessment will provide preliminary engineering input regarding opportunities, constraints, grading, drainage, accessibility considerations, constructability, and future planning requirements associated with upgrading the path to a formal multi-use path. R&R Engineering provided pricing of $3,500 for the Simcoe Plaza column assessment and $2,200 for the Black Path upgrade to the multi-use path assessment, for a total additional cost of $5,700 plus tax. Through the competitive procurement process and bundle pricing efficiencies, administration was able to incorporate both of these previously deferred assessment items while remaining within approved budget allocation. So as a result, condition assessments for the following 7 locations will be completed in 2026. So our Lower August Falls Bridge, our Tourist Information Center Lookout, August Falls and Gorge Boardwalk and Lookout, Beach Road Culvert, the retaining wall, Simcoe Plaza columns, and Black Path upgrade to multi-use path. The consultant anticipates to be on site to conduct field assessments in late June or early July 2026. Reporting for the original condition assessment project is expected to be completed by October 2026, while the additional assessments are anticipated to be completed by the end of December 2026. The completed assessments will support future asset management planning, accessibility improvements, capital budgeting, infrastructure rehabilitation planning, future grant and funding applications, and long-term decision-making. The resulting condition and information recommendations and cost estimates will assist the township in identifying priorities, developing future projects, and pursuing external funding. This work aligns with the township's strategic plan, asset management plan, recreation master plan, tourism marketing plan, and ongoing infrastructure planning initiatives. So for the financial implications, the approved budget was $15,000. The original project scope of the original or I should say 5 locations, $9,250. And the additional work is $3,500 plus HST and $2,200 plus HST for a total project cost of $14,950 plus HST. Therefore, the total project remains within the approved budget allocation. There are no options at this time, as this is presented as information only.
Questions?
No, this is
Gary?
Appreciate,
This is
I'm really thankful that you have this job that I don't see, so first of all, thanks for doing the work. I just imagine we'll be slightly over budget once we add the HSC to add the other two, which is, I think it's still well worth the investment to do, but thanks for just putting in the work and taking care of this. There's some very valuable assets in our community, so just express my appreciation.
John, I got a question. Is the homes on Simcoe Plaza, don't the businesses own those? The canopy, that's part of the canopy.
It's something we need to determine. However, they were, we've known they've had cracks in them for quite some time, so we should be investigating regardless, just to make sure public safety wise. But we can look into that to see who owns what. I believe we still own the towers.
Yeah.
I believe the canopy belongs to the businesses. Okay, I can double check for you.
Okay. No other questions? Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Duno, resolve that council accept conditions assessment, municipal trail and infrastructure report as information only. All in favor, carried. Thanks, Stacy. Okay, student council report.
Thank you. So, start with high school updates. So on Tuesday, June 2nd, we hosted our annual arts garden where members of our high school music club performed some songs and we displayed wonderful art pieces made by students this year. We held our athletic banquet to acknowledge all of our athletes and sports teams on the 8th. And then I wrote this down wrong on here, but so our academics award ceremony is tomorrow morning during school time. Last week on the 11th, we had our annual Clash of Colors. Students in our school are divided into 3 color groups, so kind of like the houses at Hogwarts, I guess. And the grades that are coming into high school get sorted into their houses on Saturday every year. So then they get to come join their teams for Clash. We play a bunch of games and work together with our teams to try to earn as many points as possible. And this event is always a good chance for students to get to know one another better and build teamwork skills. So we've now made it to exam season. Our last day of classes is this Thursday. And exams will be done by next Thursday on the 25th. This year's prom is on the 20th and is being held at the Scriber Rec Center. And the grade 12 graduation ceremony will be taking place on the 25th in the high school gym. So for sports, at the end of May, our track and field team traveled to Thunder Bay, where multiple students won medals, 5 of which qualified to go to OPSA on the first weekend of June. As a team, our school earned a lot of points and ranked highly compared to past years. This is the most athletes our school has ever had to qualify for OPSA and track and field, so that's pretty awesome. And then in our region, 15 NSSS AA banners are awarded. And I just wanted to point out that this year our school won 7 of them. 1 in golf, 3 in basketball, another 1 in curling, and 2 in badminton. So out of all the schools in our high schools in our area, we won around about half of the banners, which is
And the ice
pretty
station
awesome. Yeah. But yeah, that's all.
Any questions?
So thanks for this part.
Thanks.
I just want to know how many of those teams were you on?
I'm on badminton, and technically I was on the golf. They only do a boys golf one, but I was only girls golfer, and I still went as far as the boys did. So
Right on.
yeah.
This is your last report?
Yeah.
So I'll just say thank you for this year. I'm really glad to have you along, and it's been great having you do these updates, so thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Marty.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor Duno, second by Councillor St. Louis, all the council accept the student councillor report as information. All in favor? Carried. So we have bylaws. We have a motion moved by Councillor Webb, second by Councillor Dubé, where the municipal fire services in Ontario operate under legislative authority established by the province through statutes, regulations, codes, and prescribed standards governing training, equipment, certification, inspection, and operation requirements, and whereas municipalities are responsible for implementing and maintaining compliance with these provincially mandated requirements primarily through local property taxation, and whereas current provincial fire service grant programs are available to both full-time and volunteer fire departments across Ontario and are distributed through competitive application processes that may not fully reflect the differing financial and administrative capacities of urban and rural municipalities, highlighting the need for a more balanced approach to funding that supports all fire services equitably. And whereas volunteer firefighters represent approximately 70 to 75% of firefighters in Ontario, protecting the majority of communities across the province, and particularly in rural areas, are frequently the first emergency responders to arrive on scene ahead of other emergency services. And whereas other provincially regulated emergency services, including policing and paramedic services, receive stable and predictable provincial funding contributions or cost-sharing arrangements, and whereas the absence of a comparable and stable funding model for fire services creates a structural imbalance between provincial regulatory authority and municipal financial responsibility, and whereas reliance on competitive funding creates budget uncertainty, limits long-term financial planning, and may not reflect the actual operational needs of fire services, contributing to instability, reduced preparedness, and the reduction of services within a critical emergency response sector. And whereas stable and predictable funding is essential to maintain emergency preparedness, firefighter safety, service sustainability, and equitable protection for residents regardless of municipal size or tax base. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Terrace Bay respectfully calls upon the province of Ontario to transition the current practice of competitive provincial fire service grant program into a permanent, stable, and predictable, non-competitive provincial funding program that supports municipalities and meeting provincially legislated fire protection requirements. And further, this funding be structured to provide equitable and predictable annual support for operational readiness and training costs associated with volunteer, composite, and full-time fire departments across Ontario. And further, that the annual value of this funding be reviewed and adjusted to more appropriately reflect the level of provincial funding support currently provided to other provincially regulated emergency services, including policing and paramedic services. And further, that this resolution be circulated for endorsement to all municipalities, Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, Ontario Professional Firefighters Association, Ontario Volunteer Firefighter Association, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and the Rural Ontario Municipal Association. And further, that upon endorsement, this resolution be submitted to Lise Bourgeois, MPP, Thunder Bay Superior North, the Honorable Michael Kersner, Minister of the Solicitor General, the Honorable Figma Surma, Minister of Infrastructure, the Honorable Rob Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario. Any questions on that motion? All in favor? And the next bylaw, we have a motion moved by Councillor Dubé, seconded by Councillor Webb. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Terrace Bay supports the resolution from the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities regarding the establishment of the Northern Ontario Policing Grant, whereas municipalities across Northern Ontario face disproportionately high policing costs due to low population density, geographic isolation, and a limited municipal tax base. And whereas many northern communities rely on the Ontario Provincial Police for policing services, while others operate municipal police services that are also experiencing significant cost pressures. And whereas recent increases in policing costs have placed unsustainable pressure on municipal budgets, forced communities to make difficult decisions between maintaining public safety and funding essential municipal services such as infrastructure, roads, water system, and recreational facilities. And whereas Northern Ontario municipalities provide essential services across a vast geographic region while supporting key sectors of Ontario's economy, including mining, forestry, transportation, and energy. And whereas municipalities require predictable and equitable provincial support to ensure policing costs remain sustainable and communities remain safe. Now therefore be it resolved that the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities call on the Government of Ontario to establish a $100 million Northern Ontario policing grant phased in over 3 years to support the 157 municipalities across Northern Ontario serviced by both the OPP and municipal police services. And that the grant include a base funding allocation for all municipalities with additional funding distributed based on population to ensure equitable support across communities of varying sizes, and that the province work collaboratively with northern municipal leaders, including Phenom and NOMA, to design and implement a sustainable funding framework that recognizes the unique economic and geographic realities of Northern Ontario. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of the Solicitor General, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Northern Economic Development and Growth, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, and all northern municipalities. Are there any questions on that? All in favor? Carried. Bill, I forgot you.
Yeah, I'm just jumping in now. I'm just gonna, just a bit of information to, our town and, our councilors, Mayor, on the week of, May the 26th, the Masonic Lodge, down the road there, number 662, did the cleaning from, Terrace Bay to, the Scriber, and actually they did the, golf course road also. And, now, this dovetails with our vision of a beautification of our towns. And they've been doing it ever since I've been living here, and probably before. And the only thing that I would, I would like to send a letter from council through you, Mr. Mayor, thanking them for helping us to keep our township and our area in the state that it is. We can drive from here to Thunder Bay, and we can look at some of the sides of the roads, and we can see there's, for lack of a better term, garbage all over the place. But between our two towns, I'm telling you, it looks awful darn good. And it's with those people and the people from Scriber and some town folk here in Terrace Bay that actually came out and gave us a hand on those nights. I just wanted to bring that forward to council here, just to make them aware. That's all. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill. No, this one here, I don't see it on.
It's the very bottom of the
Does it speak?
yep, 17.
Okay. We have a motion moved by Councillor Webb, second by Councillor Dubé, resolve the council agreed to waive the fees for the community center activity room and bowling alley lounge on June 27th, 2026 for the Club Francophone de Lac Superior. Any questions on that? All in favor? Carried. Okay. We have the motion moved by Councillor Dubé, second by Councillor Webb, resolve that being a bylaw to govern the erection of election signs during the 2026 municipal election be read first, second, and third time and finally passed Signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and numbered on this 15th day of June 2026. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Next bylaw, moved by Councillor Webb, seconded by Councillor Dubé, resolved that a bylaw to amend bylaw 36-2025 being a bylaw to establish 2026 fees and charges to be read first, second, and third time and finally passed. Signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and numbered on this 15th day of June 2026. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Question period. Questions out there?
Are we doing other business first? Would that make
I
more
was
sense?
gonna ask, do we need to amend the agenda again, just to add other business before question period?
Yeah.
Okay. We can do other business and resolutions regarding discussion regarding a letter from a resident regarding vacant land sales. I thought we were moving that till July meeting.
It was added to the agenda on the weekend. Just might as well take care of it.
Yeah. So what do you want to do with it? Respond to the letter.
Yeah, I got it up here.
Yeah. Will we?
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, so both, Councilor Dubé and I both responded to the resident about our, related to the sale of our number of lots around town. And if memory serves me right, those have been listed since the last term of council, if I'm not mistaken. They posted those. I think it's worth our discussion whether we continue to keep those posted. I mean, I think the realtor signs themselves are now faded on all of those properties. We can maybe keep them for sale, but we may want to look at just changing the stipulations on those lots. I don't have a good reason to do what we did back then or previous council did, but I think this resident raises up some good concerns that some people may want to buy those lots and build a garage, still require water and sewer and hydro, but I think it's worth the discussion around the table if we pursue that.
Yeah, I'll just sort of, anybody listening online, and it just might be good for some historical context, like what it actually says. It says recent lot sales appear to have been adjacent to adjacent property owners who combine the lots with their existing properties and invested in improvements such as a garage. This has resulted in property improvements and additional assessments were previously lost to generate little or no tax revenue. I would ask council to consider whether vacant land lots could be made available to adjacent property owners for lot expansions, accessory structures, subject to appropriate conditions and zoning requirements. In addition, council may wish to consider whether alternative land for future residential growth remains available should demand increase in the future. And so that was sort of, and again, yeah. In the past, I've voiced my, I'm very much for this. I think any lot that we can sell in town will increase tax revenue. It'll also pay with water as well. Those sorts of things, and it spurs growth within our community. I know we have another subdivision that remains underdeveloped. If that was ever, you know, if it ever became interested, somebody coming in and developing, that's something I still think is like it's in our back pocket, that whole area. I don't know what kind of grants come along from year to year and whatnot. That could be something we look at it, but anybody who's interested in developing any lot in town, I think we should at least hear them out on this, as we've done in the past.
But now, correct me if I'm wrong, because my understanding from talking to this person was that she was of the opinion that you should be able to buy a lot anywhere in town and build a garage out without a house. Currently, I don't think we're zoned for that, right? Or we're not, our planning thing is not set for that, right?
Garages are known as accessory structures under the zoning bylaw, and an accessory structure would need a main use for the property.
Exactly. So, but am I right in thinking that if you built a garage with an apartment above it, it would meet that?
Certainly there are complexities. Yes, generally speaking, you could do that. The apartment would be the main use and the garage would be the accessory use, despite the fact that the garage is holding the apartment up.
Right.
There's parameters in the building code to consider parameters in the zoning bylaw, but you could do that, correct?
And like, the proponent is right, there has been a couple of issues where people have bought lands adjacent to theirs and they're building a garage on them. I don't think those lots were actually ever merged, were they? Like, into one lot? They were still two separate lots?
So there's two processes, two paths you can essentially follow. You can do a deeming bylaw, which joins the lots. When you're in a plan of subdivision in Ontario, the lots are set. If you're outside of plan of subdivision, you buy an adjacent piece of land, they join automatically on title.
Okay.
That's my understanding. So you can do a deeming bylaw to join them on title, then you have one big lot, it affects the placement of your garage. The other route you can go is a zoning bylaw amendment. So buy a piece of vacant land, get a zoning bylaw amendment to build an accessory structure on that piece of land only, which would affect your, that you could get the amendment to place it where you want. There is no front yard because there is no main accessory structure. It's main use structure. So yeah, there's two paths. You can either do a zoning bylaw amendment or a deeming bylaw.
So basically, anybody could build on the lot. All they have to do is come to us for either a zoning amendment or, like to my point earlier, if you had a garage on the lot, put an apartment above it.
I don't believe that was her, from this email, doesn't seem like it said, I read this a few times, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like every time she says about adjacent property is used in all of these circumstances. And then again, consider whether alternative land for future residential growth remains available, should demand increase in the future. And in my mind, I went back to the undeveloped
Streets.
Yeah, streets back,
So
they're not serviced.
No, they're not serviced, but they're deemed that's where we're going next.
Correct. If there was some sort of grant in the future that could provide services for that location, then for sure, I don't see why that spot wouldn't be developed in the future, and I'd be for that as well.
I mean, I don't want to also I'm always cautious to go, why did we put the fence up in the first place before we take one down? Like at the time, there was a bit of a housing short front, she's lot, the fully serviced, any contractor, general, whatever. You want to build their own house, like it's essentially quick and easy, could happen. And we sort of take that away or eliminate that if we decide to take down that.
Well, like Chris said, if you have a house here and there's an empty lot there, yeah, that's fine, but I personally myself, like on Timber Grove or whatever, there's like 4 or 5 empty lots there right behind that. Want to mention the person's name, I wouldn't want to see 4 garages built there. To me, I wouldn't go for that. But like Chris said, if you have a house here and a lot, and like an empty lot there, I don't have a problem with that, but I don't want to see 4 garages in a row.
And we've done that.
Where?
Right, no, we've just allowed someone to buy a lot and build upgraded easement areas and they're building a garage.
The one house, the one garage sitting by itself on Parkway.
No, I know that one there, I'm not sure.
That's what I don't want to see, but that.
Yeah, so that would seem to be the line. I felt like this constituent brought this up not knowing, where we stood and just wanted some clarification, and again, having these conversations around the table clarifies again where we sort of stand as a council. So if this person was to purchase an adjacent lot to a piece of like a house or adjacent land or adjacent lot, wanted to develop that into a garage and expand that lot, I feel that we as a council are generally supportive of that move.
Yeah,
well, like I said, we've done it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't see an issue with that.
Yeah.
The other thing that was brought up by this person was, the person wanted to know, should we be revisiting the timeline to build a house when you buy a lot? And I know we talked about it a little bit, we just never made a decision. I think right now is it 3 years or 5 years? 3? We might want to consider, do we want to even have a limit on it? Or do we want to stretch the limit a little bit to 5? So it's something for us to think about.
What was the rationale for 3, John?
So it was originally 5.
Yeah.
And talking to our realtor at one of the points when we renewed, she expressed that a lot of the interest in the lots expressed dismay about having to. Sorry, it was originally 3, now it's 5.
Yeah.
Other way around, sorry. So 3 wasn't enough time.
Yeah.
We'll do it, so five would provide the correct amount of time to get their ducks in a row to come and actually build a house or place a house in the lots, so. The original intent of having it 3 years, was essentially to try and get some housing going. We had these vacant lots sitting in our, you know, our assets, and they weren't doing anything, so we put them up for sale to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to the timeline portion of it, I'm kind of the opinion that I would like to just leave it at 5. But just make it known that if something came up and you don't think you can meet that deadline, you come and see it. And ask for a meeting and maybe discuss whether we would push it back part of it.
I think some people do come and ask.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, so like, I don't think we should say we're not open to it 5 years or else. But I don't really know if I want to move, because to John's point, the idea was to try to build some houses,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, because I mean, realistically, it's, you give them 5 years and
Mhm.
whatever, it doesn't go to development, someone else wants, no, I want that lot there, so.
Yeah.
You know, and I promise I'll build whatever it is. So,
Yeah,
yeah, you gotta put some.
I mean, in a different market, you would do that
Yeah.
because you wouldn't want a bunch of people speculating to drive the price of land up, right? That's not an issue here. It would be nice if we had that headache.
Bill,
That, just further what Councillor St. Louis is saying, like you say 5 years, but I would hope that whoever sits at this table, if there is a 5-year window that is the opportunity for you to build a house, there should be a timeline for some checks and balances so that there is a progress. You know, not wait until after the 5 years and say, you know, like, hey, you know, I need another 4 or I need another 5. Doing a little bit of research with today's numbers. For a 3-bedroom bungalow to build on a service lot ranges now, just materials only, no labor, ranges from $225,000 to $375,000
Yeah.
to erect that building. You know, I mean, but there again, like I say, like you know, if Councillor Duno wants to buy a lot, maybe the first year he'll bring a basement to his lot. The second year, he might build a first floor structure to his lot, and so on and so on and so on. You know, timelines and things like that should be more structured, I think. But at these prices, I mean, and I went through the whole gamut. I went through the roofing, I went through the exterior. Like, it is not cheap to build a house nowadays. But getting back to the original intent from the constituent, I mean, talking about building a house on, and I agree with the mayor, is it should be if Councillor Dubé has a empty lot next to his house, that's the opportunity for him. It's not an opportunity for Peter to the Bedbooth to come and build a garage next to Councillor Dubé's house. You know, and I think that should be made crystal clear, absolutely. You know, I just think it sort of undermines what the whole thought process is as to how that bylaw and how the town wants to grow. Just my thoughts.
any other discussion? Okay, thanks, folks. Question here, John?
If there's anybody has questions online, I put it in quite a while, but nobody typed anything in, so going once. Second call. Third and final call. I don't believe there's any questions online, your worship.
Now we're going to camera. We have a motion moved by Councillor Dubé, second by Councillor Webb. Resolve the council move this next portion of this meeting in camera at 7:41 to discuss approval of the minutes of the previous full session held May 19th, 2026, on one matter under personal matters about an unidentifiable individual, including municipal or local board employee, pre-management and non-union performance reviews. And that council now recess for 5 minutes. All in favor, carried.